Yes, my friends, welcome back. Three massive stories to break down for today. Today we discuss the breaking reports around Manuel Ugarte as we are ready to rival Paris Saint-Germain over the signing of the Uruguay midfield player. To move on, we talk Reece James and we have updates behind Romeo Lavia and Moises Caicedo as well too. So right now, my friends, it seems like we are getting ever closer now to signing our first player for the new season under Pochettino. And is it set to be Manuel Ugarte? Time will tell, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that like button, of course, share your thoughts and opinions too, and without wasting any more time. So right now, let's start things off by getting the sad news out of the way, and we talk Reece James because yet again for this season, Reece has picked up another injury, this time tweaking a hamstring injury, and now the plans that Reece had to play the final home game of the season against Newcastle, well, it's not going to happen no more. And the only saving grace is that thank God this season ends once this week ends, and then we have pre-season where hopefully Reece can build his body up even more, strengthen his condition and strengthen his body, do whatever he has to do to find more consistency in his minutes in this game. Because for me, yeah, it would be a massive shame if his body was the thing in the end that stopped him fulfilling his potential and reaching higher heights. I think there's two teams. There's a team with Reece James in and there's a team with Reece James out. And without Reece James, I feel like we go down another level. If he's not assisting, he's scoring goals. So let's hope that for next season, we can really minimize these injuries that Reece keeps picking up time and time again. I think the signing of Gusto will help with this. And for me, I wish we had this competitive figure from before, because a part of me feels like we wouldn't see Reece getting rushed back time and time again. And then he'd reduce the amount of aggravations he keeps picking up all the time. So that is the first disappointing news out the way first. But now let's discuss the breaking report of today. And we have to talk Manuel Ugarte. Right now, we are battling Paris Saint-Germain over the signing of Manuel Ugarte. Today's reports confirm the fact that Paris Saint-Germain are the first club that are showing interest in Ugarte to make the first official bids. But this bid they've made isn't to exercise his release clause. Instead, they have offered different payments, which I guess go up to the tune of 60 million. Time will tell. We know that once you exercise a release clause, then of course you have to pay the full amount of money up front. So it'll be very interesting to see what the final fee will be. But one thing we know is that Sporting Lisbon have not accepted any offers at this point in time. So I guess where does this now leave us in the equation? And it's positive news. I mean, right now we have our reps and agents on the scene getting ready to broker a deal. Reports in Portugal have stated that Jorge Mendes is on things already at this point in time. We have other reps that are heading to Portugal now to discuss fees, and Daily Record from Portugal have confirmed the fact that we have told Sporting Lisbon we are ready to pay the full release clause for Manuel Ugarte. And the bonus with this news is that records confirm the fact that Ugarte has a preference to play in the Premier League for next season over playing in any other league. Right now, we have some very interesting reports coming out from Uruguay, and courtesy of Uruguayan journalist Franco Fernandez. He mentions that Ugarte is very close to signing for us. He is going to sign a 6-year deal, and the final fee for him will be around 65 million euros. And now this has got me thinking, you man, because his release clause is around 60 million euros, and we'd be paying 5 million over his release clause value to get him signed. And now I'm thinking, are we hoping now to do a similar deal to what we did with Enzo Fernandez, where we paid more than his release clause value, which allowed us to pay for the player in installments instead? We know that with the long-term deals on top of the installment packages, this brings down the player cost substantially. So could this be the similar play for Ugarte? And are we getting the first signs that this is how we're looking to get this deal done? So right now, is it starting to look like Ugarte is set to become Pochettino's first new signing for the new season? There's nothing 1000% guaranteed at this point in time, but right now, my friends, things are looking incredibly promising and incredibly exciting. Now, it makes a ton of sense to me why we've been forced to make a move now for Ugarte, because a player of his profile, the role he plays, how he plays that role in particular, for the price he's available for, I think it's just way too good to turn down easily and ignore, knowing the fact that you can sign someone that is on the same level as Caicedo for 30 million less. With our pressing needs to sign a holding six, We have not had this profile since we sold Nemanja Matic very prematurely, in my opinion, to Man United. And since then, we turned to using more like creative, deep line players in that role over a more classical like defensive presence. And I kind of feel like we are doing no things wrong by targeting Ugarte. Like, a part of me, to make like very lazy comparisons, I look at Ugarte and I think of like a Moussa Dembele, the Belgium international that used to play for Pochettino under Spurs. And if Pochettino could have a Dembele that was more excellent defensively, I'm sure this guy would snap his fingers at the opportunity to like secure a player like this and make it happen. And I'm not saying that Ugarte has the same like dribbling skills as a Moussa Dembele, not at all. That was a very unique skill he had. DM that helps you win that midfield battle. A DM that is excellent defending 1v1, excellent at intercepting, excellent at defending zones and spaces, excellent at timing his press as well too, has that physicality, has good shooting technique, and on top of that, the bonus to his game is that he is very technically accomplished. Incredible composure, very good at playing out from the back, very good at receiving on the half turn, playing with his back to goal, playing forward passes and pushing his team further forward. For a guy like this to be available this early on the market for this type of price, in my opinion, we can't turn this down. So the fact that we have an opportunity now to secure a player of this profile before pre-season starts, we have to get this done. Now it's starting to look like we aren't planning to sign just one midfield player for next season. We know that there's lots of doubts around Loftus-Cheek, Conor Gallagher, Cover, Mason Mount currently, and even N'Golo Kante, who hasn't actually signed this new extension just yet. So I'm expecting us to sign more than one midfield player in the next window. So could that be Caicedo on top of Ugarte? Could that be Lavia on top? Who knows right now? But for the sake of this point, let's focus on the players that we know are set to be here for next season. And one player in particular is Enzo Fernandez. Now, Frank Lampard had some very revealing words to say about Enzo during his press conference before our game versus Man United. And here's what Frank had to say about Enzo Fernandez. He said, Enzo gets it. He gets what's required in training. He gets what's required to be a Chelsea player. He's got a high talent. Some players just get it. I keep talking about giving players time, but when you work with someone, you understand it very quickly, and I think he gets it. And this is Frank Lampard that's worked with some of the best midfield players of his generation. I mean, he's going to know a thing or two about the serious, like top level pros. And that's for sure what Enzo Fernandez is. But one revealing thing that Lampard mentioned was that, listen, if you're talking to me about Enzo Fernandez and his potential and his future, I'd say him being more involved further forwards, closer to the opponent's goal. That is the best position that really unlocks the entirety of his full game. And I've been saying in my previews, we've been forced to use Enzo as this like reducer figure in midfield based on the existing profiles we currently have. But when we introduce a 6, and I'm looking at Ugarte in this example, a guy like him that can play as a 6, play in a pivot, play in a midfield 3, but for me, he would be our holding 6. This will elevate and unlock Enzo Fernandez even more. I mean, it's so obvious that he should be playing a lot closer to goal. I think we saw glimpses of what he could do with his passing behind when, Graham Potter first started using a 4-2-3-1 after our January window of business. And look at some of those balls and Cesc Fabregas-esque moves and passes that Enzo has in his game. Like, this guy can do everything. And I think that, and we have to remember, we have paid a Prem record fee to sign him. And my thing is, if we don't fully achieve Enzo Fernandez's full potential, I will be bitterly disappointed. I'm going to be very frustrated. And moves like this, signing a 6 to allow this guy to play more box to box, this is how this guy is going to achieve his proper legendary world-class status here. I'm that confident about things. So that is the second story out of the way. Let's end things by discussing more news around midfield targets for next season. Right now, let's end things by discussing more news around midfield targets for next season. And we talk updates behind Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia as well too. Now, with all the midfield players who are basically leaving us, once the season ends, of course, we're going to sign at least 2 midfield players, in my opinion. And in the case of Moises Caicedo, he has strong backing from figures at this club, especially our sporting directors like, Lawrence Stewart, Paul Winstonley. Massive fans of his profile, of his game. Of course, Winstonley was a guy to actually bring Caicedo to Brighton to begin with, so he's going to understand his game down to a T. And of course, Brighton have accepted that McAllister, Caicedo, these players will be leaving them for this summer. So right now, there's a strong chance that Caicedo could be option number 2 when it comes to really strengthening our midfield for next season. And you're looking at that Latin America presence we could have, Enzo potentially, Ugarte, Caicedo. Could they play together in a midfield 3? Would it be more of like a pivot style system? Who knows right now? But it's very exciting, and I kind of feel like it's a future-proof midfield that you're building if you're going to allow a lot of these guys to leave us to begin with. And we know that Caicedo has always been like a lifelong Chelsea fan, which definitely helps. I mean, he's got ambitions to play at the highest level as well too. We have a good relationship with the Brighton boards. There is business that can be done here. Pochettino hasn't necessarily given any conclusive decisions behind his first options for anyone right now, but he is more than happy with the targets being offered to him by our board and our staff. So, Caicedo is definitely the transfer to watch out for this window, because something can definitely happen here as well too. But to move on, we have more updates too around Romeo Lavia, courtesy of the Times. Now, Romeo Lavia is seen as more of a technical ball-playing style number 6, but with a player like Lavia, this is someone that can play in a 2, in a 3, that can play deep, that can play further forwards. He's got a lot of interesting, possibilities to his game that can definitely be improved upon, maximized on, and take his overall game to the next level. I think this guy could be a future-proof guy for sure, because, for me, it's not about judging how these guys play in their specific roles. It's more about how they actually play for me, what they do on the ball, how they think, the positions they move into. I kind of feel like that reveals a lot more behind whether a player has the quality to play for you right now, and if they don't. And I think in the case of Romeo Lavia, I get a lot of Fernandinho type of vibes from him, to be fair with you. Not only is he excellent at breaking the play up, and for me, when top 6 clubs are signing DMs, your DM has to have a bit of attacking presence to your game. They can't be playing safe passes sideways. They have to win that ball back and basically kickstart a move by themselves. And Lavia has that in his game, yeah. He can break the play up. He's incredibly skillful and technical. He can play with his back to goal. The passing options he finds when he's playing from deeper positions too. I think one stat in the Premier League shows that, out of all the team guys to play in the league, he's won the most tackles out of all of them, winning over 50. And I think, we have to remember that Lavia is only 19 years old. By the time he is 21, when his body has fully finished developing, he could be a bit taller. He could get even stronger. And the fact that he's showing these parts of his game at such a young age already makes him a very interesting buy. Now, currently, Joe Shields, the guy that Southampton signed from Man City, who we then signed from Southampton, is really trying to bring him to our club. Has big hopes for him, thinks he can do big things in the game. And now that Southampton have been relegated, Southampton believe that the maximum amount of money they could get is around 40 million. But at the same time, this is my own personal hunch. The fact that we have so many players to plus the requirements, so many young guys out on loan currently in the Championship that we might not even use. Guys like Tino Angelin, where's his future right now? I'm not too sure. Could you broker deals with Southampton to sign Lavia, offer players and reduce the overall costs for a club that is set to now live life in the Championship for next season? That wouldn't surprise me. Knowing the fact too that Southampton have had big interest in tons of our youth players over how many years. My only thing is though is that you can sign all the best young teen talents in the world, but for how good they are, you're signing them for their potential, for how good they can become. And I just think that if you have hopes to get Champions League football for next season, can we fully rely upon many guys under 23 years old to literally get us there? I mean, I don't want to say no, but I kind of feel like after the season we're having right now, it's maybe become a lot more realistic. And how often do you see really young squads and teams like this, achieve these types of big ambitions and high objectives? We still need to have some balance, right? And I don't know, I kind of feel like a bit of a mixture of some seniority alongside our youth excellence is what we need, because unfortunately, because we're a top 4 club, we need to get our objectives every year. That's Champions League, that's competing for the league, that's competing for silverware as well too. And if you're going to add another teen talent to other teams you have Caicedo and other teams Andre Santos, and many other young guys as well too. Is that going to be just too much to expect, especially when the ambitions and demands are so high? Now, ideally, I look at Real Madrid, I see their approach where they really know how to integrate a young guy into their senior team, and they don't rush the process, right? Like, they slowly add a young guy every few seasons, and they slowly take over what was left before to maintain that high level of excellency. Now, we can't do that based on the crazy levels of spending and players we've added to the team, and that would be a loss for us. But I guess my fear is that when you're signing just so many top young guys, is there going to be enough game time to really develop them fairly for the future? Time will tell. But anyway, my friends, that is the video for today. Share your thoughts and opinions. I'm in EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.